Hi, welcome to the Honey and Harry Show. I'm Honey,
And I'm Harry.
and today I'm so excited. I'm actually very honored to have Kay Riggs on my podcast, our podcast. My dad, I keep saying it's mine, and it's not really mine. It's both of ours. So, Kay is actually in Register magazine this month, and she's actually one of the 5 women in our region, the whole Baton Rouge region, as one of the 5 women with a cause, a very important cause. If you get the magazine, you can read all about her. I'm very humbled to have her here. We have actually a mutual good friend who texted me last week and was like, "You've got to get her. She's great. You got to get her on." And I'm like, started reading. I was like, "Oh gosh, Darren, I have to have her." So, thank you for being here, Kay. I really do appreciate it. So we're going to talk a little bit about. I know you started. She's done so many things. We're probably going to have to do a couple of podcasts with her because she's done so many things. And can I tell your age? Because
Yes.
okay, she's 34 years old. I was like, are you kidding me? She's accomplished more in her life than I have in my entire life. I'm very, very impressed. I'm very impressed. And you need to be
Okay.
very proud of yourself. But anyway, so you need, she has the Risen Queen Foundation. I read a little
Correct.
bit about that. But we're going to start. Why don't you tell us your story a little bit and how we got to this huge Baton Rouge magazine?
Sure. Thank y'all again for this platform.
Absolutely.
And being able to share. Well, my story started in my early 20s. I am a teenage mom. I had my daughter when I was 16, and I was a junior in high school. And so went to college, did well in school, and eventually moved to another state in order to get help with her from her father. And so as I was there, I went through some struggles, some hard times, but I also was very encouraged at the same time. I became a licensed minister while I was there, so I
Wow.
studied the word the entire time I was there. And so kind of going through that season of turmoil and abuse, I still had my faith.
You had God. Yes.
And in my mission, that is something that I highlight, being able to highlight, my faith, uh, being a mother, also restoring battered women and children back to stability, with that financial literacy and also just mental health, just how important that is to.
Oh, yes.
I've been in counseling, I will say subconsciously, I didn't know I was doing it, but I spent a lot of time with my guidance counselors, even in
Really?
school, junior high, high school. I always like being around the older crowd.
Well, I feel like you're an old soul. I just told her that. I feel like you're an old soul.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So I remember my guidance counselors, Miss Trahan and Miss Charles. I was with them, and when I got to college, I stayed in counseling then as well. And then once I was out of college and I was going through the abuse from the time I was, 21?
Wow. So young.
Yes.
And that happens to a lot of young girls. I had my daughter young, and it's just one of those things that if you can get caught up in it so quick.
Yes.
Because you're just young.
Yes. And we didn't live together. But my mom, one thing that she instilled in me and my sisters to always be civil with people. We're never to be mean. We can respond, but not to start off just mean spirited. And so I was just in a hardship of trying to co-parent healthily, and the other parent was not compliant. And so it created a hardship in the home for me and my children. Um, because he had his own personal desires and they didn't align with my desires. I
Mhm.
just wanted to take care of our daughter. And so that used to cause a lot of rejection for him. That was something he was internalizing and he was like deflecting a little bit. He wasn't accepting it that I didn't feel like there needed to be a romance in order to take care of the child. And so that was something that I used to feel like I had to teach, and I wasn't heard. So I kept trying to be present, still being patient as
Mhm.
possible. But it was a nuisance. It was a nuisance. It was becoming a nuisance. So when it got really bad, October 5th, 2015.
Oh, wow.
It was a very hard day. It was a rough day. And prior to that, we had had a lot of really, really bad moments in time. And I had to leave a year prior to that because he caused a lot of pain physically, not only to me, but to my children.
Mhm.
And I had a wound. I wear a lot of lipstick for a reason. I love lipstick
Oh,
though,
I love lipstick
but I
too.
have a scar
Oh, no.
right here. He hit me
Yeah.
in my face, but he bit my face,
What?
and my lip was just bleeding, and I'm like, Lord, I got to get out of this. And so I had to silently leave. I couldn't give notice. I had to talk to the schools and let them know, like, hey,
Mhm.
this can't be shared, but we have
Mhm.
to make our exit. And so we left. And one of my family members, she met me in another state halfway and she brought us home. And so I stayed home for about a year. And my former church at the time, they was like, "Hey, you still have your license. Let's finish, what you started." And I was like, "Okay, I think I'm ready to come back." And so I moved back and I kind of set that boundary, like I'm here to do ministry, not so much to repair, our co-parenting relationship. And so I was abused really badly one night. Um, and I was hospitalized from that. And it was a hard night because my children were present and
So
they
did
usually
they
are.
see?
They heard it.
They heard it. They heard it.
They
Okay.
heard it. And so they've been present a lot. And but that one was different um because they can hear my body getting slammed
Oh my
to the
goodness.
ground and I'm just fighting. And in that moment, I'm just like, this is just too hard on my body. And I remember talking to my advocate at the time, just like, Kay, you have to get out of this because her sister had passed because she had been abused for so long and her
Oh wow.
organs began to fail.
Oh my goodness.
And I started to think about that. I was like, I got to get out of this. So CPS was involved and they shared with me, they said, Miss Riggs, if you want your babies, you're going to have to get out of this. And so I'm like, well, I just was trying to co-parent. I don't know what else to do. Like, this is my daughter's father. I don't know how to say, oh, we just can't talk to you. And so I did advise him to, seek his own therapy and also go to family court to have those legalities handled in the courts because we weren't mature enough to come together and find our common ground. And so with that, still didn't listen. He had to speak with them a couple of times and agree to the terms that if this happens again, that they would take my babies. So a part of me was kind of getting fed up. Like, my children, I'm all they have, although my parents they're involved, but that's not their responsibility. And that would be so hard for my children to have to live life if I'm buried and
Oh,
my parents are in their 50s, trying to raise little children. And so I said, you know what? I got to do it for my babies. So I began to work up a plan to get out. And one day he came to my home to pick up a TV that he let my children use to watch, just anything to get in my home. And
okay.
so I was like, okay, you can come get your TV. I wasn't one to hold anything hostage. If it's yours, it's yours. And so he came, but he had a secret agenda.
Oh, wow.
And so in his coming, he was like, well, can we discuss, like, he was court ordered to support my daughter financially, and it didn't sit well with him. At the time, he was a 12-time felon.
Oh, wow.
Now this is someone I met as a teenager. And so now, even from those lessons, I teach my daughter, like, hey, you really, really gotta see some people through. Like, you don't have time for dating in high school, because this is what I'm dealing with. He wasn't this way in high school, but this is who he has evolved to be as
100%.
a man. And so in that, he was trying to discuss with me how to get him off. And I'm like, we've tried this already. It's no longer in my control. This is in the state's hand now. Once it's in their hands, for some reason, it's not something you can dissolve if you personally wanted to take him off. And so he made the comment like I was ruining his life. And I was like, I didn't ask to have this baby. Neither one of us planned for this. She's here. And at the time, well, this is 2015, my daughter is 11. So we haven't accepted that we are a father, and he fathered plenty of children after her. And so it was a lot of, I would say, immature parts of him. And I was still trying to communicate in a very mature way, but he wasn't hearing me. He wanted what he wanted, and that was it. And so that day, because again, we couldn't find common ground or a place of harmony where we both was pleased, he always wanted to override the decision. He wanted it to always work in his favor. And I'm like, well, what you want is not favorable for her. And it just turned into a big argument. And I remember going to the restroom, just trying to get myself together, because I'm like, Lord, I really don't want this to turn into an argument. Like, I really,
Yeah.
really want this to be okay. And so I'm getting myself together in the restroom, and I hear him come in the restroom, and it just was a heavy time, a heavy
Yeah.
moment in time. And he kind of shoved me on the wall, and he put his hand around my throat, and he kind of forced his whole body, like, weight
Mm-mm.
into my throat. And I remember looking him in his face as I'm fighting, and he had this crazed look in his eye. It's almost like he was possessed at the time. It's like I wasn't even looking at him anymore. And he smiled. And I never forgot that. I still think about that today.
Scary.
And I fought and I fought and I fought. And I remember him getting tired. And so I ran to try to go at least to the window and break the window. And so he got me at the window. So my back is on the window, and I'm trying to push my body into the window to break the window, and it wouldn't break. And I finally said something, because in my mind I was like, this is going to be my last day. I'm going to die today. So let me get everything that I need to get off my chest. And I said, you are such a coward.
Mm-mm.
I said, you would never, ever do this in public. And so he still was just fighting me. And I remember him taking off his shirt, and I fell to my knees. And he took his shirt and he tied it around my neck. And I just remember, like, God, if I can get out of this, if you get me out of this, I will never look back. I will never, ever look back. And so it's like I can hear God say, just stop fighting. And so I stopped. And then I went dead weight. And he couldn't hold it. He couldn't hold his balance. And so he took me by my hair to prove me wrong that he wouldn't do it in public. So he was trying to go outside now, not knowing that those words would have freed me. Didn't know. He turned around, like, briefly to go and grab his phone, and he let go of my hair. And I was able to run outside, and it was raining and it was cold. And I never forget that day. It was gloomy. And I remember not having any shoes on, and I slipped and fell. And dark humor, I felt like Tina Turner when she was running from Ike. I said, oh my gosh.
Thank God you found some humor.
Yes. And so I fell, and I remember him standing in the doorway like, oh, we don't need this. Come back inside. I'm like, you were just Incredible Hulk. I got to go. And this is my house. This is my house. Again, we don't live together. I'm trying to be civil and cordial, but my kindness was, I was being taken advantage of at the time. And just, again, just trying to be peaceful about things. It really didn't work for me. And so he took advantage of that because I was always very forgiving and understanding. And so I remember walking across the street. I had to wait for the cars to pass, and I walked across the street. And this woman just happened to be looking outside at the moment. She was like, you need some help, baby? I said, yes, ma'am. So I walked in, and he seen me walk into this lady's house. So he's banging on the door. I hadn't called 911. He banging on the door, please, Kay, like, just talk to me. I was like, no. I said, we past talking at this point.
Oh my gosh.
And so in that, he left. The police came. He seen all my bruises. He said, ma'am, you need to get to the magistrate's office right now. I said, okay. I said, but his car is still to my house. I said, can we go do a walkthrough? And so he said, yeah. So we walked. We looked through every room. We looked through every closet. We looked in the showers. We looked everywhere. Nothing. No him. So the police officer left, and I get a call. You called the police? I'm like, I told you that I need you to keep your hands to yourself. I'm tired, okay? But you shouldn't call the police. You shouldn't call the police. I was like, you don't hear me anymore, and I'm tired. I haven't called before. I said, but I'm showing you that I'm tired. Next thing you know, I hear my children's blinds shaking. He's coming through my children's bedroom. And I said, Lord, I'm really going to die today. He left the window open, but it was shut. So I wouldn't know even if the police officer did do the sweep. So I remember him looking me in my face, and he just cried and fell to the ground. And I said,
Confused.
I was just like, this is too much. This young man is mentally disturbed.
Mm-hmm.
So in that moment, I knew my kindness still was going to save me. So I had to show that I cared. So I sat down in the hallway, sitting down. And I said, what's going on? He said, well, I know I could be better. I know this and I know that. And I said, okay. I said, let me go get you some water. So I went to the kitchen. I got him some water. And I slid my keys to my car in my pocket
Oh, wow.
because I seen the time and I said, well, my children about to get off this bus. So that's going to be my out. Because, he was going to hold me hostage in the house. So I came back. I gave him a bottle of water. And he was calming down. And so I said, well, them children about to get off the bus. I said, let me step outside. And I said, I'm going to get them off the bus. He said, okay. At that point, I was like, you do what you want in my house. I don't care. I just need to live and I need to survive this.
100%.
Put my children in the car. We went to the church because I was preparing for my initial sermon, October 25th.
Oh, my gosh.
So in 20 days, we sitting here preparing and I'm still pushing because my faith was intact. And so sat with my bishop, and I really don't understand even then why I didn't say what exactly had just happened. I was so used of going through this and then straightening up, cleaning myself up, and stepping out into the public again. I remember being in church after a sermon that I preached, and people were walking up to me like, Minister K, like, that was such a great sermon, and they're hugging me, and my body is sore. My body is hurting because they don't know what I went through
But don't you think
the
a
day
lot
before.
a lot of women like cover it? They just and they don't. It's almost like that's your normal.
Yes.
So you don't know any different. And when you were so young,
Very young.
and you just think, and you're like we're a lot alike in some ways. Like you just think you of course you want the father in your child's life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's what you're trying. That's the
Yeah.
goal, right?
Yeah.
And no, it's not okay. It's not okay.
It wasn't.
You are so strong. I'm so proud of you. So young. How old were you when that last
I was 25.
25?
I was 25.
25. You were a baby.
Yeah.
You were a baby. But I do think God was protecting you, for sure.
Agreed.
So I know you left, and you had to get help. Where did you go? And I know from when we were talking, it's not that easy. It's not. It's almost like everybody. You hear about women that get abused, and it's like, oh, they just need to leave. It's just leave. It's it's like it's not easy to pack up your. You can't even pack. You didn't get to pack anything, right?
Not the first time.
Not the first time, but like you just leave with your children.
Yeah.
Some women leave with, and like they go to a shelter,
Mhm.
right? Did you do that?
Yes. So I had to pack up my home the second time. This particular house I left because it wasn't safe anymore. And so we had to go to a disclosed location.
Oh wow.
And I moved, and he found that
No
location
way.
a year later. And so it was almost like he was hunting me because we did go to court, and I did win my case, and he seek vengeance for that. There was never no accountability. It was always,
Oh my God.
how can I get rid of this woman because she's making my life hell? I'm like, where is the accountability? The only way you can be charged and convicted is if I had the proof. And so in that particular county, they didn't have a shelter. They only had a resource center.
Oh wow.
So that was unfortunate. That's why I didn't get to go to a shelter in that county.
Oh wow.
So when I moved to this next county, when he found me, I had to pack up my house within the week, really 2 days. I put everything into a storage and I moved into the shelter. And so the shelter gave us 6 weeks to get
6
ourselves
weeks.
together.
That's it. And so when you go to the shelter, like, do you get a room, like you and your kids? Like, just tell me a little bit about
So
that.
we had a common area, but we had a room
Right.
where we can just be a family. So we had a room. We had to share a bathroom with other families. We had to eat in the common area.
So
And
hard.
it was rough
That
because at the
that is
same
so
time,
hard.
I was still going to court and still having to bring my babies to school,
Oh,
still having to
because life
go
never
through my,
stops.
there you go, my day to day. I still had to do mom and
Yeah, you can't stop being a mom.
yes, and K and go to therapy and go
All the
to
things.
court again. And so in that, it was heavy. And there was a family. My daughter's teacher. I always celebrate the Tide family. Um, her husband was military. He was from Georgia, and he was like, "Oh, you're a Southern girl." I said, "And is I am." And he was like, "You know how to cook fish?" I said, "I do. I know how to fry fish very well." I said, "But can you fry it this time?" He was like, "Yes." And so they took us in after 6 weeks.
Really?
Yes.
I mean,
And
what beautiful people.
yes. And that was the first time that I was shown that people don't see color. I've always come up in the world, well, came up in the world, I'm sorry. And where I'm from, we're such a mixed pot. But then
Yeah.
being in another, like a foreign land, I started seeing where there was some division.
Oh, really?
This family didn't see color. And that was my first time seeing that. And that really was a lesson for me. Like in charity, we don't see color. We just see a person and they're
100%.
in need and they need our help because we have it to give. And I was stressed going in because I was like, look, I don't have a lot of money. I am finishing school. Like I finished my degree while going through this.
That is amazing. I just want to tell you that is amazing that you finished school while you're going through this, and your education is everything for, yes, it's
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
But you're just your will. You're just, I mean, God, he's working through you, and I mean, he's working through you right now, obviously. But just to get through. I mean, at 25, at 20,
Yes.
I'm just thinking that's my youngest daughter's age. Can't imagine.
It's rough.
I can't imagine. So they take you in. I'm so sorry to
No,
interrupt.
you're fine.
And
You're
they
fine.
take you in, but I know we were talking, which finish your story for sure, but the shelters, we got to do better.
Yes, agreed. So that's why I really built my foundation. Because once I had my time up with them, I moved back to Louisiana. Because it's what me and my children
It's
needed.
home.
Home was
Home.
restoration.
Home. You need to be home.
Good
I know.
food. We was losing so much weight. My children were frail.
Yeah, y'all needed to thicken up. I know.
We had nothing left. We was
I
like,
know.
we come here bearing it all. And so
You need hugs, kisses, good cooking,
yes.
family. Yes.
And I'm so grateful for my mom because she had that to give. And I had two family members. One of my cousins, she's on tonight. She walked me through that season.
Wow.
Yes, she walked close with me through that season. She covered me. She covered me in a way.
No, take your time.
She covered me in a way that some of my immediate family couldn't cover me. And she had my back.
Yeah.
And she always did. And I'm just grateful that she walked that dark hour out with me. She was there to listen. she never judged. She just listened. And she was there to encourage and empower me. And I celebrate her for that. And I had another cousin. He really helped me financially, like study finances in a way that I never knew that was going to really stabilize me and my children.
Gosh, I'm so
Created,
sorry.
no, you're fine.
I
You're
don't have
fine, dear. You're
anything.
fine. Just set up a trust fund for me and my children. I've
Oh,
just
that's amazing.
never had people just really come through for me like that. To see that, and it was just two people. A lot of people knew what was happening, but nobody extended the olive branch. And even today, I'm like, if I know something, I want to be able to bring relief to that mom, because not everybody's sharp when under pressure. I happen to be
No, you are.
a little different.
And you are a little different. And
Yes.
not everybody has the education. Not everybody's
Yes.
thinking. Not everybody has the faith. That's the other thing. Not everybody has faith. And then not everybody has family. So like if you don't have all those,
It's tough.
I don't know what you do. You know what I mean? Like, but it's every day. It's every day.
Every day. And so when I came home, I went into the Faith House in Lafayette. They gave us a little longer. They gave us 8 weeks to
Okay.
get ourselves together.
That's still nothing.
Still not enough.
No.
And it really took me 2.5 years to stabilize my children.
Oh, wow.
But again, I had to be sharp under pressure. And in that moment, just sitting while my children were at school, I say, you know what? What can I do different that I feel like is going to work? And so I remember going to my advocate and I'm like, look, can you put my name on a letterhead and say that, like I'm a resident here and I need some help? She said, yeah. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I said, but I'm getting ready to go do something. Like I just was tired kind of sitting there, and they just wanted to put you in low income housing. And I'm like, that is high crime areas. That is not safe for nobody.
And we talked about that.
Yes.
And I'm just going to say, and I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I'm going to say it. I wouldn't put my dog in some of the places these people live. Why would you put a human being
And their children.
and their children in this situation? You're going to get more of the same, and then it's going to trickle down to the children.
Yes.
And we got to do better as a community. We just do. I don't know how to fix the problems. I know you're trying so hard to fix the problems, but yeah, I mean, what you go, no, that's not okay. And how do you do better? I mean, you may not have a car. You're scared.
Yes.
You're scared in the place that you're living because you're surrounded by people that, are probably doing drugs and, all kind of bad things. But and I'm not judging them for that. They're a victim of their environment and their circumstances, right?
Absolutely.
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 I think that.
I just think it's unfair
It's very unfair.
to us to have to stay in survival mode like that, because in high crime areas, you're still in a destitute situation.
So that's why people go back. That's why people don't leave,
Yes.
because you feel safer. Even though he may come home and beat you every once in a blue moon or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like, well, then, 90% of the time it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Mm-hmm.
me thinking, if I had to go in low income housing, or do I put up with my abuser? I'm going to put up with my abuser.
Many of the survivors that I've helped, that is their reason for staying. They needed to have that stability. And if they looked like they were saving, that abuser knew how to say, hey, we need this. And they'll make sure that they don't pay it, because they know that she's going to pay it for the children.
My God, it's so crazy,
So
isn't it?
they have put the survivor in a situation financially where they can't leave. And I just I was like, you gotta be so strategic to be mean and oppressive like that.
You do. So, you know what that is? That's the devil.
Hmm
That's the devil having his way
I used
with
to
people.
make my friends laugh. Dark humor. I call I call my former abuser DJ. I was like, what's DJ? Devil Junior. Sometime LJ. Lucifer Junior.
Listen.
Lucifer, LJ,
Oh
DJ,
my
however I'm
gosh.
feeling.
Well, look, I wanted to say this too while we're on like, because some people may be watching, and if you're going to donate to the Battered Women's Program,
Hmm
what should you give? It should be cash, right? Is that what you should be
Yes.
doing? Money.
We need funding.
We need funding,
We don't
right?
need no clothes.
We don't need clothes.
We
That's
don't
what
need no more clothes.
No more
We
clothes.
don't need no clothes. We
Mhm.
have so much clothes. I get people asking me, "Kay, y'all need some clothes?" No. We need deposits.
Yeah.
We need rental deposits. We need utility deposits. We are starting over.
You're
with
starting
young
over.
children.
And you want to, you need help to start a new life.
Yes.
You just need that little cushion, that little help to get
Yes.
going.
And the reality, of a lot of this, there's really not any government funding but the low income housing, and also say going to DCFS for food stamps, stuff like that. But we have these other causes where they have billions a year.
Oh, wow.
Billions. They get
Yeah.
billions.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
We don't scratch that.
Yeah.
We don't. And clothes, that's fine. We have plenty. When I was in the shelter, they had it set up like a boutique. And I love that. I
Yeah,
was
I love
like,
that
I'm
too.
going shopping today.
Yeah, that's
Get
great. I
my-
mean, that's great. That helps. Yeah, but that helps you feel good as yourself.
Yes.
But there's more to it than clothing.
Yes.
You need the help. I would think most of these women want a better life for their children. They want to be safe. They don't want to get beat. They just want better. And you go put them in low income housing. They're just going to get more of the same.
Yes, the crime, so the children become victims as well, to that system and to that society, because coming up in poverty, they may become abusive.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a male,
Mm-hmm.
they'll probably become abusive. If it's a female, most likely will become a victim of
Mhm.
abuse. It's always that settling that happens. And fortunately, my mom had an abandoned property that I was able to go to.
Yes, you told me
And
this.
but everybody doesn't have that option. And I was willing to live in a bad situation until I got better, until I was able to get that stability I needed. And it was hard. That was a hard sacrifice. And
Yeah, you had to give up a lot.
yes.
Yeah, all the comforts,
yes.
But I want you to tell everybody how generous. That's what when we got off the phone yesterday, I was like, there's good people in this world.
Yes. Yes.
There's just good people in this
complete
world.
strangers.
And that's why I love doing my podcast, because the TV's so negative most of the time.
Yes.
And so tell us about
yes.
what came your way. How blessed, again, God blessing you again.
Yes. So it was business owners that restored me and my children, not family. It was business owners.
Business owners.
I took my letterhead. My first stop was to the Lazy Boy. They were going out of business.
Love
And
it.
so I remember walking in. The owner happened to be there that day. And she looked at me and I said, "Hi, ma'am. Me and my children, we are over at the Faith House. I have a cabin in Opelousas that I'm trying to, put furniture in." And she looked at me. She said, "I'm going to help you." She said, "But when you get out of this," she said, "I want you to pay it forward."
Oh,
She said,
wow.
"Because you're going to get out of this." And I looked at her, and that always stayed with me. And this lady, She scheduled that delivery.
I
I
love
remember her warehouse. I remember her telling me it was in Croc Springs. She had a warehouse in Croc Springs.
it.
And she said, and I'm going to get this delivered to you. She said, you tell me when you need it. And I told her. She gave me a sofa set. She gave me 2 bamboo mattresses. And I still have that today.
I love
Like,
it.
she didn't give me no hand-me-down. She didn't give me nothing that nobody wanted. This was all wrapped up. She gave me the best. She didn't give me just, nobody want this, I'm going to give you what nobody wants. And that's why even in my giving, I don't like to give from a place like, oh, I don't want that anyway. I even learned that in ministry. When you give value. Don't give what you don't want no more because you don't see the value in it. Why would you give it to somebody? Why would you?
Agreed.
Agreed. And I felt like somebody really cared because
Well, it
she
made you
gave me
feel
the
good. Yeah.
best.
It made you feel valued.
Yes, she
Yes,
gave me
yes.
$100 pillows. I'm
I'm
like,
like, so nice.
thank you so much.
I don't even have a $100 pillow.
I'm like, ma'am, thank you. This is so kind.
A beautiful woman.
Yes.
What a beautiful.
Yes.
If more people that can,
Yes.
because there's a lot that can
Yes.
and don't. Just saying.
Some people, I've learned that to be charitable is definitely a gift. To have a heart for humanity, to have a heart for people is definitely a gift. It has to be genuine. It has to come from a real place.
Oh, yeah.
And so with her, that just blessed me so much. I still have all that. And I've built my home and everything. I'm like, this is some good stuff. This is some quality stuff.
So nice. I love it.
When she gave me this back in 2017, like this was 7 years ago, I still have all. That is my favorite couch.
Well, yeah, because that's not there. I mean, those couches last long. Yes, do not get rid of your couch.
No, and it didn't match with one of my. I have a navy blue like suede sofa, and I love everything is around that sofa. All my chairs are navy blue. I went by a navy blue cover to put over that.
So it all match. I love it.
And I said, we're keeping this because this feels so. I still sit there. I spent a lot of time in that sofa thinking how to get out. And even then, the lumber yard there, St. Landry Lumber, shout out to St. Landry Lumber. They gave me my sheetrock. They gave me my insulation, my flooring. And I was volunteering at the Flower Fest for St. Jude with my business. And the lady across from me, she owns Roussel's. And she said, ma'am, you say you're from Opelousas? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, your story. She said, I want everything. I said, yes, ma'am. And I'm just bagging all my product, just bagging it up.
I love it.
She said, my husband's family they own St. Landry Lumber. I said,
oh my gosh,
it's 5 years later. 5 years later. What are the odds?
That doesn't happen. That doesn't. And I'm gonna tell you, I live in. Anyways, I live in Gonzales, and I love Roussel's. Love it, love it, love it, love it. That's my guilty pleasure over there. I just love everything, and I love the people that work in that store. Can I tell you, they are the kindest.
Yes,
it makes me want. I mean, if I had more money, I'd buy everything in there just because I like them so much.
Yes, yes.
And so, they have beautiful things.
Yes,
absolutely.
Very nice.
So, what is your product that you have that they bought in there?
So, it's actually in their stores too. It's a plant-based home care line.
Yes,
it's named after my grandmother. And so I compound everything from dish detergent, laundry detergent, multi-surface cleaner. I do bath and body now. My customers like, hey, we need bath and body, please. Like, my skin was very inflamed when I was like in my younger 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know why. So I started removing things from my diet. and it started clearing up.
Mm-hmm.
So when I seen how it healed my skin, I began to like just kind of convert my entire lifestyle. Like
Yeah.
everything that came in contact with my skin, I was like, oh. And when I built my home, my countertops are granite.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I had to be careful about what I use to
Yes.
clean it because it can break that down. I was like, okay, I found something and then I never found it again. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to do this myself.
You're gonna make it.
I'm going to make it myself then. And so I started doing research, and then my 4 products became like this whole line. So when I was doing charity with my products at this event, I gave 20% of my proceeds
I
to
love
St.
that.
Jude.
Love that.
And everybody heard my story. It was like, now, who's this Creole redhead girl out here? We ain't never seen her before. And so my picture was everywhere. And even the owner of the flower wall, she came and introduced herself to me. And she was like, can you tag me on that? I was like, yeah. And so it was all over Visit Baton Rouge. And then a lot of people started finding me that way, asking me to come to events. I'm like, yeah, I'll come. And so I would go. And then she's a friend today. They offered to put my products in their stores. I was like, okay, that's great.
That
So
is.
now it just like,
What's the name of your product, by the way?
so it's Tavia Botanicals.
Okay.
Yes. And so
Okay.
it's in stores in Willow Grove.
Okay.
At the Mulberry Market. It's at Roussel's as well.
Yeah, and it's so, I'm glad, like, you talking about this. Let me just tell you, but my daughter who had breast cancer, diet, products like what you're using, and that's everything.
Yep.
We see Dr. Cave, who is a holistic, she's a doctor, but she practices more holistic.
Yeah.
There's tons of science for this.
Yes.
And it is, again, another God thing in your life.
Yes.
Because you're helping, you donated. How nice is that? But you also are helping people take care of their bodies. It's an amazing thing.
Yes.
It really is.
Yes. Changed my life. My daughter's allergies was terrible. This has helped as well.
I'm gonna go get some
Yes.
because no, seriously, because no, I mean Lindsay and I are really into this. We're into this with the kids. We don't want. I mean, we just are, and I have the worst skin ever. It's just
Stop it.
No, I do. I'm
You
the
look
itch,
amazing.
I'm the little itchy lady. I'm always itching. But anyway, so you founded the Risen Queen Foundation in 2020, right?
Yes.
So tell us about that. Give me some information so people know about the Risen Queens Foundation.
Yes, so I founded my foundation 5 years to date on my anniversary.
Yeah, Dad put it up.
Yes.
Great.
October 5th.
Mhm.
October is actually Domestic Violence Awareness Month as well.
Okay.
And it was something about that number 5. 5 is that number of grace and change. And I said, you know what? It's time. So 3 years after my escape, my story had went viral on Facebook and Instagram. And then when I built my home, kind of showing people like this can happen. Like you can get yourself together. You just got to get out. You can thrive after such a dark hour in your life.
Absolutely.
And so I built my foundation to be able to give back. As the lady said, when you get yourself together, you pay it forward.
You never forgot that.
I never forgot that. So just highlighting motherhood, faith, being empowered, that financial security, mental health, and being able to provide like those startup costs for your rental deposits, going to these new, whether it's an apartment or to a home. Also,
so they help with all that.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes. So everything that I raise goes to the survivors. I'm so grateful that I am able to pour from a place of abundance. God has really restored me and my children financially in a great way. So we're able to give from our abundance and our overflow. And so I have my community partners, such as European Wax, Um, they are the only corporation that I am aware of that gives back to this cause.
Wow.
Michelle is a sweetheart. Amanda with Studyville, I've met her doing business,
Oh, wow.
and she is also a philanthropist in the community, um, that was all for helping and contributing to my cause. Lauren, she has her story as well,
Oh,
and she's overtone BR. She has been such a cornerstone as well in us getting this cause out there. And so these ladies have funded my foundation,
I love it.
and they understand, and I love that I also have a male on my board.
Oh, you
Yes, I
do?
have a male, and fun fact, he
Okay.
is a Opelousas native.
Oh, really?
Yes,
He is. Okay.
his dad's practice was on my childhood street.
Oh,
And
my
so,
goodness.
yes, we ran into each other at an event, and I was sharing, like, oh, I'm from such and such. He was like, do you know Dr. Richard? I was like, yes, I do. And so, like, time has passed, and my mom was like, oh, yes, I remember them when they were some little babies.
That's so crazy.
Yes, and so my board members, they have a passion for this cause. They know my story. They have watched me prevail and walk it out strong with my children. My children are smiling. My children are
I
happy.
love that.
They are honor roll
Oh,
students because they did not do well when we were going
I
through
guess not.
academically. They were suffering, and so they are thriving now. My daughter, she is a scholar, and she has a 4.3. I tell everybody every time, look,
Oh, my goodness.
yes, she is amazing. She is beautiful. Her spirit was broken, but to see her fly now is like,
Like the butterfly. That's why I wore this, guys, tonight, because, it starts off as a caterpillar and it goes in the cocoon and it dies. It's like it dies, right?
yes,
And you go through this dark period. And my daughter, we used it with the cancer. You go through this dark time and you went through your dark time, whatever it
yes,
may be. You went through your dark time and you come out so beautiful.
yes,
And it's the butterfly. So I wore all my butterfly stuff to honor you
yes.
today
Thank you.
because you are a beautiful butterfly. And your story is just incredible. And there's so much more I want to talk about. And you're going to have to come. You have to agree to come back.
I will come back.
You'll come back. I want
I'll
you
come
real
back.
quick before we leave. I want you to. Oh yeah, you're for the donations.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
put
can
that up there.
donate to our cause
Please.
tonight, this evening, and all the playbacks. Everything goes to startup calls for surviving women and children.
Such an important cause. I mean, just such an important cause. It's I can't. You've really touched my heart tonight. You really
Bless you.
you did. You touched my heart. If I had millions of dollars, I'd give it to you for your foundation.
Thank you.
It really touched me tonight because I'm a woman with kids, and anybody it can happen to anybody. It really can. It can happen to anybody. And I'm so blessed to have my parents. I'm so blessed to have a good family. And thank you, Jesus, that I have that. But God has taken care of you.
Yes.
And I love my women. I love my girls. I'm always team girl.
Same.
Almost to a fault. I'm team girl.
So bad.
Almost to a fault,
So bad.
I mean, and I always, I don't have them on tonight, but I always have cowboy boots on.
Love that for you.
And tonight I don't have my cowboy boots on, but there's a reason why I wear cowboy boots in case we ever get into any trouble. Honey can take care of
Stop 'em
whoever.
out.
I can.
Stop 'em out.
I can take care of you. I got y'all. But I do one other thing before you leave. I want you to. I love your necklace.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Tell the meaning, and
Okay.
we'll end with that. And
Symbolism, love it. We go for the butterfly transformation. It's absolutely, that is domestic violence. That is our symbol. Even
really, I did not know that.
Yes, butterflies. So you'll see them like even on my website, and also
Really?
with the risen queen. In Queen, there's a phoenix rising from the ashes, and also a crown on the top of the Q. I read this book by Joyce Myers called Beauty from My Ashes. And that was something that came to me also
Love that.
when naming my foundation. But my necklace
Well, I'm very jealous of it.
is from Kendra Scott.
I love it.
Kendra Scott is a philanthropist that I've followed for many years. And I went through like this journey when I was about 23. And my name is different. My entire name is Kayanka.
Okay.
And so K, I had to break it down. Like,
Uh-huh.
okay, no one has my name.
No one does.
My mom.
But I love that.
Yes, no one has my name. So I couldn't type it in and say, what does Kayanka mean? So in that, I was at the beach and I broke it down. So I broke it down into syllables. And so K means pure, and Anka is a type of feline. And so that's how I draw near and dear to lions.
I love the lion.
Love all things fierce. I'm not really a
Yes.
pattern girl, but I live for some cheetah, some leopard. And that's about it. But for the most part, I try to wear my solids with a little glitter or something.
You see, I even put glitter on my eyes. tonight.
Yes, I wear it here. And somewhere I have glitter on my boots.
Absolutely.
But this piece, I bought it for my 30th birthday. And I did a lot by the time I was 30. I built my home. I bought one of my dream cars. And this was also something just honoring me, just honoring
Well,
Kay.
you should.
And
You
so
should.
I bought this piece. And again, Kendra Scott, I am going to be doing some events at her locations too. They actually invited me last year to come and fundraise. So
Oh, wow.
yes,
Okay.
she is a national philanthropist, and I love what she does. So honestly, subconsciously, I didn't realize it, but that's kind of how I got my idea. Like, not everyone has the ability to just give financially. So that's why I came up with my product, because I didn't know how to fundraise.
Amazing.
So I'm like, okay,
That's all I got to say. Is
they
amazing.
buy it. A portion of that can go to the foundation.
Beautiful.
So yeah,
It's a
growing.
beautiful thing. But I love the lion. I love the lion. I mean, that is just. I feel like I'm a lioness too, girl. I got you.
Is, honey. We very fierce, very fierce,
Very fierce. You're right.
very
Well,
courageous.
I thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank you for having me, dear.
And with all the crazy weather we've been having, I'm so glad she came. I was worried because I was like, oh my gosh, the weather's so bad. We still have more to talk about. I know we're going to have to do a follow-up on this show. Thank you, Darren. Love you for...
Love you, friend.
Yes, love you, Darren, for putting us together. This is a great thing. But also, thank you, Dad. And would you like to add anything? I always forget about my dad. And that's so terrible. It's so terrible. This is the Honey and Harry show, but Harry did all the work,
Harry don't mind being behind the scenes.
No,
The talent is on stage, not behind the microphone. Thank you so much, Kay, for coming on. It's been an inspiration to us, not just to see the great recovery that your life has turned into, but also that it's turned into giving back to others.
It's amazing.
And there is no higher thing than that. So we thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All righty. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
And look forward to next week when we do some Mardi Gras.
So, what is it from Mamu?
Ooh, this
Mardi
is-
Gras Mambo.